The global footprint of the United States military is a phenomenon without historical parallel, functioning as the invisible structural framework upon which the modern international order is built. While often discussed in terms of troop counts or specific battle groups, its true essence lies in a complex integration of financial hegemony, technological gatekeeping, and a permanent logistical presence that spans every continent. This presence is not merely a defensive posture, it is a proactive system designed to secure global trade, stabilize the world's primary reserve currency, and ensure that American interests are physically embedded in the geography of every strategic region. By maintaining this posture, the United States effectively underwrites the security of the global commons, creating a world where international commerce and diplomacy operate within an American-defined security architecture. Today we will talk about the real power behind U.S. military presence. So, before we start, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. The real power behind U.S. military presence. The primary engine driving the U.S. military's global reach is the petrodollar system and the protection of maritime choke points. Since the early 1970s, the global oil trade has been conducted primarily in U.S. dollars, creating a perpetual international demand for the currency and allowing the U.S. to run significant deficits to fund its defense budget. To maintain this status, the U.S. Navy acts as the global guarantor of free trade, patrolling vital waterways like the Strait of Hormuz, the Malacca Strait, and the Suez Canal. By ensuring that energy and consumer goods flow without interruption, the U.S. military effectively underwrites the global economy. This creates a feedback loop. The military secures the trade that keeps the dollar strong, and the strong dollar provides the massive capital required to fund a defense budget that exceeds the next 10 countries combined. Without this naval supremacy, the cost of global shipping and insurance would skyrocket, potentially collapsing the just-in-time supply chains that modern civilization relies upon. Beyond the water, the real power is manifested through a basing architecture that consists of over 750 sites in approximately 80 countries, a network unparalleled in human history. This network allows for over-the-horizon capabilities, meaning the U.S. can strike or deploy anywhere on the planet within hours. These bases are not just barracks. They are highly integrated hubs of intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, ISR. From Ramstein in Germany to Kadena in Japan, these facilities serve as the nervous system for global operations. They allow the U.S. to project power without the need for massive, slow-moving invasions. Utilizing lily pad, jumping points to move specialized forces rapidly. This permanent presence also serves as a psychological deterrent, signaling to allies and adversaries alike that American interests are physically embedded in the geography of every strategic region. A less visible but equally potent pillar of power is the military-industrial technological complex, which functions as the world's largest incubator for dual-use technology. Innovations originally developed for the battlefield, such as GPS, the internet, and advanced semiconductors, have become the bedrock of the civilian global economy. By maintaining a lead in stealth technology, artificial intelligence, and satellite communication, the U.S. ensures that its allies are dependent on its hardware and software ecosystems. When a country buys an F-35 fighter jet, they are not just buying a plane. They are entering a decades-long logistical and digital partnership with the U.S., effectively tethering their national security apparatus to American interests. The financial infrastructure of the U.S. Treasury also serves as a silent partner to military force, creating a Treasury Tomahawk nexus. The ability to levy secondary sanctions means the U.S. can economically isolate an adversary more effectively than a naval blockade ever could. The military provides the muscle that makes these sanctions credible. It is the ultimate enforcer of the international financial rules. when a nation or entity is cut off from the SWIFT banking system. It is the underlying threat of U.S. military intervention or the protection of the dollar's integrity that prevents other nations from bypassing those sanctions. This fusion of financial and kinetic power allows the U.S. to achieve strategic objectives with a precision that avoids the messy casualties of traditional ground war. In the 21st century, the frontier of this power has shifted into the high ground of space and cyberspace, where the U.S. maintains a first-mover advantage. The U.S. Space Force and Cyber Command represent the latest evolution of this global presence, moving beyond physical soil into the digital and orbital realms. By controlling the GPS constellation, upon which all modern navigation, agriculture, and banking depend, and the majority of subsea data cable landing points, the U.S. maintains the ability to turn off the digital lifeblood of an adversary. The real power behind the presence is the capacity to dominate the information environment, knowing what the enemy is doing before they do it, and having the tools to disrupt those actions. Furthermore, the soft power of military diplomacy acts as a massive force multiplier that often goes unnoticed by the public. Through international training programs, IMET, and joint exercises, the U.S. military builds deep, personal relationships with the officer corps of hundreds of foreign nations. These programs ensure that the professional norms, tactics, and language of foreign militaries are aligned with American doctrine. In many cases, these military-to-military ties remain intact even when civilian diplomatic relations sour, providing a back-channel for influence that no other nation can replicate. This cultural export creates a global operating system for security that naturally defaults to American leadership during times of crisis. The logistical capability of the U.S. military is perhaps its most underrated source of power. The Air Mobility Command and the Military Sealift Command can move an entire city's worth of equipment and personnel across the globe in a matter of days. This logistical sovereignty means the U.S. does not need to ask for permission to move. Through most of the world, it has the self-contained ability to sustain long-term operations thousands of miles from its own shores. This ability to out-logistics any opponent is what truly scares peer competitors. While other nations may have large armies, they lack the global reach to sustain them outside their immediate borders, making the U.S. the only true global power. The integration of these forces creates a deterrence by denial strategy that prevents peer competitors from even attempting to challenge the status quo. By providing a nuclear umbrella and conventional security guarantees to wealthy nations, like Japan and Germany, the U.S. prevents regional arms races that could lead to global instability. This makes the U.S. military the indispensable partner for global stability. Many nations willingly host U.S. troops not out of subservience, but because the American presence is a cheaper and more reliable alternative to building their own massive military machines, further legitimizing the U.S. footprint. Finally, the sustainability of this presence is rooted in the concept of extended deterrence and the alliance of consent. The U.S. presence is unique in history because it is largely invited. This voluntary empire of bases provides a legitimacy and moral authority to U.S. power that a purely coercive force could never achieve. It is this combination of economic integration, technological lock-in, and mutual security interests that forms the real, enduring power behind the U.S. military presence. As the world moves into an era of multipolar competition, the ability of the U.S. to maintain this integrated system will determine the future of the international order for the next century. The resilience of this system also lies in its ability to adapt to unconventional threats, such as pandemics, climate change-induced disasters, and non-state terror networks. The U.S. military often serves as the world's primary first responder, utilizing its massive transport and medical capabilities to provide aid in ways that soft power alone cannot. This humanitarian aspect reinforces the global perception of the U.S. as a necessary force for good, even among populations that may be skeptical of its kinetic military actions. By being the only entity capable of global-scale relief, the U.S. military secures a moral lease on its foreign bases, ensuring they remain operational even during periods of political friction. Ultimately, the real power is the sheer qualitative edge maintained through relentless research and development. The U.S. does not just have more equipment. It has more capable equipment, from sixth-generation stealth fighters to autonomous underwater vehicles. The technological gap remains wide enough to ensure that any potential conflict would be prohibitively expensive for an adversary. This technological overmatch ensures that the U.S. military presence remains the primary variable in any geopolitical equation. As long as the U.S. continues to out-innovate its rivals, its global presence will remain the foundational pillar of the modern world. If you like this video and would like to see more like it, please give it the thumbs up, leave a comment, and click the button to subscribe.